All right, week one, fat adaptation. All of this to prepare for the fast on June 2nd through the 6th. So it's a 5-day fast. We have reasons for a 5-day fast. It's interesting. I'm actually going to post an article my wife found, someone wrote, and they talked about why fasting is the rage right now. But I thought the article was very well written. It talked about how when the rage comes, people intuitively or inherently do the wrong things or start to be obsessive about things. And what we find right now is that people are doing these very long fasts, especially people who are thinner that aren't obese, and they're doing these extended fasts. Even it's becoming common to do 20, 30-day fasts. That's fine if you're obese and you have supervision. But it's not fine if you look like someone like me or you're not necessarily obese. The bottom line is this: we do a 5-day fast because we see these maximum results happen around day 4, day 5 of a water fast with this autophagy, where the body's eating the bad cells and then reestablishing new cells with stem cells in the healing that occurs during a 5-day fast. For years, I've taught minimum 4 days, 5-day being the best. And then along came Walter Longo and his group, and they proved that these 5 days is in fact the magic. Clinically, figured it out a long time ago, but now we have science around why a 5-day fast. So one of the things I always say is it's not just about one fast, whereas one long fast can be very beneficial to someone with certain health conditions or someone who's obese. But for most of us, it's multiple 5-day fasts. Therein lies the magic. Now, if you didn't see last week's video, go back and watch it, because I talked about you have 3 choices here. Of course, many of you are very adapted at doing water fasting, and water fasting is a choice. But I also talked about a partial fast, which I've taught for many years, and the fasting mimicking diet, or the prolonged fast, which makes that even easier. So go back and watch the fasting and what choice you have. But 5 days, that's for a reason. And the reason we are doing these videos every Wednesday night at 6 is because I'm basically walking you through a process that we've discovered clinically to maximize the results of your fast. So in other words, instead of waiting till day 4, day 5 to get these incredible results, we can do it on day 1. And again, last week's video, I talked about the 7 benefits of fasting. Well, we can get those benefits day 1 if you make sure that you do these things I'm going to be teaching you every Wednesday night. So that's the purpose of this. So week 1 is fat adaptation. So why are we doing this? How is this going to improve the results of my fast? And it's going to make your fast a whole lot easier from day 1 too. So there's a dual purpose here. But here's the bottom line. If you go into any fast, fat adapted, meaning your cells can use 2 things for energy: sugar or fat. Remember that, because I'm going to play on that a lot. 2 things for energy: sugar or fat. What we mean by fat adaptation is that we're forcing your cells to use fat as its major energy source. So what that means is when you enter into the fast already in that state, your body already adapted to using ketones. That means your brain feels better right away. You don't even notice a blip of "I feel horrible, I have brain fog" that most people do when they enter a fasting state. But more importantly, you enter right into autophagy, where your body will start getting rid of the bad cells, taking out fat cells for energy, for water, nutrients, etc. So benefits day 1 if you become fat adapted. Now, the key is this: many of you that are just starting, it's going to take you a few weeks to get into that state, but I'm going to give you tips along the way. And again, every week there's a lesson that builds on the following week. So stay tuned. Many of you are not new to this. You've been following me for quite some time. However, no doubt you will be re-inspired as God gives my wife and I messages along the way of inspiration to bring you. So stay tuned every week, whether you're new or whether you have been with us a long time. There will be material always for both groups. So those of you who have been with us here a long time, have done many fasts, bear with us, because some of it is going to be review for you, but for the new people, it's very important. So week 1, fat adaptation, the how-to. One of the things is, and I'm going to make it as simple as I can, and I have a lot of resources on my website at drpompa.com. So that's dr, my last name, .com. Okay, and you can go to Cellular Healing TV. and listen or watch many episodes on ketosis or fat adaptation and get a lot of great information. Also, we have some free things that we give you. The free keto roadmap.com. So that's another one. The free. Oh, there's the dogs. You'll get used to them. Roadmap. Oh, I'm running out of space. .com. Freeketorodmap.com. Maybe it's not the. I think it's just the. Dylan, you're going to have to find out about that. I'm going to put it in the link. I think it's freeketorodmap.com, not the. So we had two names. I think my dyslexia, I always, you learned that about me too. I always cross things up. So anyways, the freeketorodmap.com, that is what it is. And you can get that and it will help you with today's lesson. But look, I'm going to make it really simple, okay? For most of you, if you get your carbohydrates under 50 net, and I'll explain that in a minute, net carbs, 50 net carbs. Okay, but here's the catch. It's grams a day, and that's carbs. Okay, so that's an R. All right, so 50 net carbs a day, that will put you into a state of ketosis. What do I mean by net? That means you just minus the fiber. You minus the fiber, you'll get the net carbs. So let me give you an example. So if you have a cup of blueberries, and Google, by the way, brings you to all of these numbers, and you just say how many grams of carbohydrates in a cup of blueberries. It will give you a number. Let's just make it up. Let's just say it's 15. And then in there, it'll tell you how many of those carbs actually come from fiber and just plain natural sugar, and you minus the fiber. So let's just say 7 of them of the 15 come from fiber. So you have 8 net carbs to add to your 50 grams that day. Now, I'm going to be honest, some of you are going to need to do less. So if you don't see yourself fat adapting, which I'm going to explain in a minute, then you may need less. Some of you may need to do 30, some 20, but we'll kind of talk about that as we go along. But for right now, the goal should be 50 net carbs and minus the fiber, you get the net a day. So that means you track, that means you use Google. Look, there's a lot of apps out there that will help you with these carb counting apps, etc. Honestly, if you do it for 3 or 4 days in a row, just Googling what you're eating, you're going to realize in no time how many carbs a day you're eating. So don't make it too hard, right? This is, if you just pay attention to your carbs, I know many of you are going to ask, well, how much protein, how much fat? Don't worry about that right now. Just protein diet. But for right now, I just want to give you that one simple instruction. We can talk about some of those other things as we go along. So let's get the carbs out. One of the misconceptions about ketosis or a keto diet or fat adaptation is that it's a super high fat diet. That absolutely can be the case. However, what puts you really in keto carbs, so you don't need to do high fat. Many of you may want to be a very plant-based diet and be in ketosis, which is absolutely the case. So it doesn't have to be high meat either. It's just low carb. But simply put, if you eat meat and vegetables, you're going to hit these numbers very easily. Eggs, cheese, all those things do make it a lot easier. Oil, coconut oil, MCT oil, no doubt. In the free keto roadmap, I give my 2-2-2 rule. And basically it's getting you different fats in. So 2 tablespoons of coconut oil does help you, because when you take your carbs away, you may get hungry, right? So the coconut oil or MCT oil has short chain fatty acids, medium chain triglycerides. And actually medium chain triglycerides will actually help you a little bit burn fat, but it also helps you with some of the appetite. And then getting some other fats in. 2 tablespoons of grass-fed butter or ghee is the short chain fatty acids, which also help with the hunger, replace the calories from the carbs. And then 2 tablespoons of something like a good avocado oil or olive oil bring in some other different types of fats. So if you just kind of do adding some of these fats in as you replace the carbs, it does make it easier. And this is probably the most important of all. As you start fat adapting and as you start going into ketosis, you will lose electrolytes as insulin drops. And that loss of electrolytes can cause the brain fog, or what we call the keto flu, and not making you feel well, and even slow down some of your fat adaptation. So we want to do at least 2 teaspoons of sea salt or an electrolyte without sugar. So we want to replace those electrolytes. So the 2-2-2 rule we talk about in the free keto roadmap. But anyways, it's those kind of tips are really going to get you there. But let me talk about something that's important, and that is actually, how do you know if you're fat adapting and keto adapting? And we're going to be really expanding this as we go on and giving you different tips with this. How to know if you're max autophagy, how to know if you're intermittent fasting, which we're going to talk about a little bit next week, how to know if that's working for you. You're going to need this device. If you go to getketomojo.com, getketomojo, and that's keto, K-E-T-O, mojo, M-O-J-O.com, getketomojo.com, you can get this. And just get one of their basic packages that consists of the meter, and then it has ketone strips and glucose strips. Today, I'm going to put the glucose strips aside, and we're going to talk more about that in the future. Right now, I just want you to look at these ketone strips. I love this company because typical meters that test ketones, blood ketones, these strips are about $4 a strip. They charge you. The strips, they have different packages. Get one of the simple packages just periodically, and we'll give you tips as we go along. So what you do, this is very simple. You pull this back, boom, quick finger prick, bam, 1 blood drop, get your number, okay? When you go above 0.5, you know that now you're in a state of nutritional ketosis. This measures something called beta-hydroxybutyrate. So urine strips, no go. We want to measure the beta-hydroxybutyrate, which is a ketone that is present in the blood when you become fat adapted. And by the way, ketones, how are they made? What are they? When your body starts using fat as its major energy source, remember, what do the cells use for energy? 2 things, either sugar or fat. When we get to a certain point, we're forced to use fat as energy. Therefore, when it breaks down fat, it makes something called a ketone. And now we see these ketones rise above 0.5 in our blood, millimolars, doesn't matter, but you look at that number, 0.5, you know you're in a state of nutritional ketosis. Test in the morning before you eat, drink, exercise is an accurate way of assessing whether you're in ketosis or not. I'm going to say this now. Most of you, it will take at least 2 weeks to find yourself in this ketotic state or fat adapted state. So therefore, we want to see ourselves cross over that we know we're using fat as an energy source at our cell, and ketones are going to be that marker. Look, even when you start seeing that number go up, you may not still feel great yet because your brain has to get used to using ketones. And eventually it does. Your brain can't use fat. Your body cells will use fat or sugar, right? And we're switching the body cells over to using fat. But the brain has to use either these ketones or sugar. Our sugar is dropping, so we're forcing it to use ketones, which, by the way, is one of the benefits of fasting. We're going to get high levels of ketones in a fasting state. But right now, in this state of ketosis or fat adaptation, we're raising our ketones up to supply the brain with energy. It's a very clean burning fuel, as is fat. The example I could give you is I have a fireplace over there. We put wood in that, we have a chimney. It burns very dirty and makes a lot of smoke. We need a chimney to get rid of it, otherwise we would die in the house. If I turn my stove on over there, it produces a flame and a fire, but a very clean fire. We don't need a chimney. That's the way fat burns, and especially ketones. Very clean, and therefore it has a down-regulating inflammatory effect on the cell. When you burn glucose, it's like the wood in your fireplace. It takes a lot of extra energy to get rid of that waste, and it creates oxidative stress, and it can add to an already inflamed cell. Not good. So we utilize states of ketosis for very sick and challenged people, very toxic people, to reduce the cellular inflammation. Your brain loves them. That's why ketosis was made popular in the early 1900s for seizure disorders. And we know any type of neurodegenerative condition does extremely well with high ketones. So the ketones benefit your brain. The ketones also turn off genes that get turned on via a lot of different stressors. So thyroid conditions, diabetes, hormone conditions, obesity. We know ketones at high levels can actually turn off those bad genes. Ketones also help fix the microbiome in the gut. So these ketones are a really good thing. And they no doubt heal the cell, downregulate inflammation, have an effect on our brain, all these great things. So this is a good way of knowing, right, if you're in ketosis. So you're going to need this, this device. So get ketomojo.com. For right now, let's keep it real simple. Get your carbs under net 50. Some of you, if you're not seeing these numbers, you can start to go lower than that. And you're going to learn in the up and coming classes here that there are other reasons why that may not be happening. Stay tuned. All right, and then the free keto roadmap will help you. But go to drpompa.com and you'll see a lot of shows I've done on ketosis, recipes, different ideas for food replacements, because that's always the big thing. What do I eat now, right? Believe me, there's more than you think. And you don't have to eat a lot of meat if you don't like meat. You don't have to eat dairy if you don't like dairy. So let's clear the board right there. We've had vegans go into ketosis. All you have to do is get your carbs low, okay? You can replace it with a lot of natural fats, avocados. There's a lot of different things out there to replace it with, but meaning the carbohydrates. So the bottom line is, if you just get those carbs down, you're gonna start entering ketosis. But again, we can talk more about why too much protein could be a problem, especially for some people, because your body can actually make sugar from that. But right now, we don't want to complicate things. You don't have to force feed yourself a lot of fat, because some of you are going, I just can't eat a lot of fat, right? Your gallbladder's bad, right? Something to that degree, or you don't have one. Taking some bile salt, ox bile, can be a help in digestive enzymes, but you don't need to eat a lot of fat. You know, we give the 2-2-2 rule just to kind of give you some easy to digest fats, just to replace the calories and make it easier on you. And it really does help that transition especially. But obviously carbohydrates, a lot of vegetables are very high in fiber, which you're minusing, and low in carbohydrates. So that's why vegans can actually go into ketosis. So you don't have to be in this carnivore diet. That's one of the misconceptions actually about ketosis. So you have a lot of options as far as food goes, but what isn't an option is the high carb foods. So here's what I always get. Well, can I eat this? It's like, well, yeah, you can, as long as you add that to your carbohydrate. You know, how much fruit can I eat? Well, as long as you add them up and add the carbs up, you can eat as much as you want. Well, technically you can't, because you can't go over 50. So anyways, all right, so this is step one. Next week, we are going to talk about, you know, intermittent fasting daily, the pros, the cons, the pitfalls, and more importantly, how to know if it's working for you or not, how to find out your eating window, or I should say your fasting window, and how that all fits into, you know, where we're going with the fast. So share this video, because we want as many people doing this as we can. This is the time to get them in, because this is the lesson number one, and we're gonna build each week. But the videos will always be here, so you'll be able to go back and share them and refer back to them. So, all right, every week, this time, Wednesday night at 6, lesson 1, join our team. I hope you get everyone, your friends and family to join us as well. I'll see you next week. Or before that, because sometimes I get these videos I just have to share with you. So I'll see you then.